everybody?
Hey, it's Bria Steele.
It's your boy James Conley.
And we're back today with our Let's Talk Tuesday. And our topic today is going to be defining your marriage.
Yeah, we want to thank everyone who joined us last week for our first Let's Talk Tuesday. It's truly a blessing to get all the engagement and comments from you guys and the shares and likes. So I definitely want to thank you guys, and hopefully you guys are joining us tonight where we're going to dig in and talk about defining your marriage. So if you're watching this for the first time or just watching it now, make sure you guys like and share. If you're catching a replay, make sure you hashtag replay. And don't forget to follow us on our social media.
If you happen to want to see this replay on YouTube, you can find our YouTube page at Poise Inspirations. Yeah, so like we said, our topic today is defining your marriage. And what we mean by that is not what marriage means, but more what marriage looks like for you. So we're sharing a lot of tips that have helped us over time, and we realize that every marriage is different and every marriage looks different. But one thing that really, really helped us in our marriage was to define what our marriage looks like for us. So ladies, y'all probably can resonate with this. Before even getting in a relationship or getting married or whatever, we kind of like envision and daydream what our wedding day is going to look like. And we start planning our colors, and we know what we want in our marriage prior to even getting married. Men, y'all don't be on that. Y'all just be like, I just know I want to get married.
Nah, like we get the ring, do all that fun part with the fellas, and then when we're proposing, you say yes, and it's like, we good.
Right, and that's the part where we need to improve on. So that's where defining your marriage comes in. When you are defining your marriage, you are going into marriage with expectations, and you go into it with I want to say strategy, because I mean technically that's what you got to have is a strategy. You got to know what you want out of your marriage. So that's what we mean by defining your marriage. It's putting a face on your marriage, giving your marriage some meaning and some purpose. And for us, that was important because we did exactly what we said. We just got married. Like he knew he wanted to marry me. Like he knew what he wanted.
I already knew. He was we've been together since high school. I mean, I think a lot of people knew we was gonna tie a knot, but yeah, he was definitely stole my heart, boo.
Anyway, he knew he wanted to get married, and of course I wanted to get married, but that was like it for us. Like once we got married, we just kind of started going with the wind, and we didn't have a strategy. Yeah, it took like going through things to really be like,
a lot of things.
Yeah, to really be like, what do we want out of this? Like, what are we doing? So it gave us clarity, it gave us purpose, it gave us meaning. It defined our marriage for us. It gave us direction so that we were living intentionally. True. And that's what we want to encourage you guys in your marriage, is to live intentionally. I think for us in the beginning, like I said, we were just kind of going with the flow. But now that we have more direction, we're staying on track. So we have more perspective. Like when we go through things, it's like we know what we want out of the marriage. So those little small things that we go through don't even amount to the big picture, if you see what I'm saying. So it keeps us on track. It helps us overcome our obstacles. And like for example, one thing for me, more specifically, was staying at home with the kids.
Yeah, that was a big decision.
Yeah, once we got married, we start having kids. Like we just started having kids. Back to back. Yeah, so at that time, like we were both freshly graduated from college.
Yeah, still young and growing up.
Yeah, and we was growing up, and he was doing his thing in his job. I was doing my thing, and like we had to like switch things up, and that was a major shock for me because I'm like, dang, we got 3 kids. Like, what do we want? You know what I mean? Like, what do we want out of this? It was a game changer. So, what is defining your marriage? It's basically putting a face on your marriage. It is putting meaning to your marriage and saying, what does marriage look like from me? What do I want out of my marriage? Defining your marriage just doesn't happen at the beginning. Like at the beginning of our marriage, we didn't sit down at a table and be like, this is what we want, this is what we're going to do.
No.
Like we are still constantly defining our marriage as we go through our marriage.
Setting goals and everything.
Yeah, so this can be for newlyweds. It could be for those who are seasoned. It could be for people who want to get married. This is a tool that can be used, okay,
for anybody,
throughout
any marriage or relationship. You can use these tools because it's what helped us get through our marriage, and why we're about to be celebrating 8 years this year. So
how you define your marriage? What's worked for us is a lot of reflection. So understanding what do we want in our future, having a future oriented mindset. So what do we want out of our marriage 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or whatever years from now? Who do we want to be in our marriage? What role do we want to play in our marriage? Asking those kind of questions, but more in the future, kind of help us define our marriage and put us in a place, in a mindset where we have something to work towards. And then the
next one, you got to be able to set expectations for each other.
Yeah.
And set boundaries. And this one was a big one for us too.
It still is. Ain't no was. It still is.
So like boundaries, so we set boundaries inside of our marriage, and we have boundaries outside of our marriage. So
yes.
Some of the simple, boundaries we have inside of our marriage is like we have to put the kids to bed by this time every night. And if that doesn't happen, it's usually my fault. She kind of gets mad at me and stuff. But that's one boundary we want to have because we want to create a routine for our family. Another boundary we have is open communication, making sure, we're always communicating effectively with each other. It could be something as simple as me, calling my wife after I get off work, like, hey, babe, I'm headed home. Just want to let you know, I'm headed your way. Just something simple as that. And then as far as like another boundary we set within our marriage is making team decisions together, not like I'm making one decision and she's making one decision. And
as much as possible.
True. So it's important that you guys make decisions together, because that will take you a long ways too. Because if you're doing stuff like single-handedly, like it's not gonna work out. Like if I want to buy a pair of shoes now, back in the day I was just swipe the
out
card,
here racking it up.
I'm buying my shoes. I don't need to ask wife. I'm good. But nah, now I gotta wife, I like these shoes. It's okay if I can purchase them.
And not even if it's okay. Not even if it's okay, but just
having that communication.
Yeah, having the communication. Don't catch me off guard. Bring home a pair of shoes. You know what I mean? Like, just the mutual respect. That's basically what it is. Having those boundaries, having those expectations, being on one accord with one another, communicating with one another. But the key is having that on the inside of your marriage and on the outside of your marriage. The inside being what you guys do between each other or in your family. The outside being outside influence.
I'll say like boundaries that we the main boundary we set outside of our marriage is like we don't broadcast nothing, none of our marriage issues that we go through or our family issues. You're not gonna ever see that on Facebook, Instagram. That's something that's a boundary we created amongst ourselves, that we don't broadcast that, because it's important that you guys work out your issues without broadcasting to the world. That you see, on social media on a daily basis.
Right. Strengthen that foundation first before you allow any other outside influence. And that's another reason why defining your marriage is important, is because this is the foundation of your family, and this is where family starts. This is where your legacy starts. So you want to make sure that you have a strong foundation. And having some clarity will help with that. And
I think it's important too that you guys understand each other's role in your marriage. Like this is something that's really helped us out too. Like as far as my wife, your role, like her role is like, she's a support. She holds down the household. She does the cooking. She holds down the kids. Like she pretty much does everything that.
I'm the accountant.
Yeah, the accountant.
I do hair. I do everything.
She does
secretary.
She does do everything, and I understand my role. So when I come home, I'm gonna let her, call the shots, and I'm gonna fill in when I need to. But my role, as a husband, as a father, I'm the protector for our family. I'm a provider, so I'm the one that's gonna bring in our income. I'm gonna be the one that handles anything that needs to be fixed in the household, and pretty much the guy that's gonna be our overall leader in our family to keep everything on one accord. Because if I wasn't, we'd be really wacky right now.
Oh, we would if I was leading?
But nah, it's just make sure, as for me as a husband, I just try to make sure I'm filling the gaps where my wife needs. And once you guys establish those roles with each other, it'll be easier for you guys to, know where to fill in that gap at.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate that this is how we do it.
Right.
It may not look this way for you. You, in your marriage or in someone else's marriage, you may equally share roles.
True.
For us, this is how it works for us. So take this, defining your marriage, and help it apply to your marriage and whatever that looks like for you. Okay, so the last thing on how to define your marriage. This is more of like a personal development, like personal characteristics. For me, it's intention, being disciplined, like we said, living intentionally, and dedication. Now, I didn't grow up with no. Okay, let me backtrack. I don't even want to say that. I was gonna say I didn't grow up with structure. That's not true. I grew up with a lot of structure,
Right.
but I grew up very unstable. I will say that. I grew up very unstable, meaning I lived in a few different places between Iowa, Kansas City. I even lived in Chicago for a little while. We were just kind of up and down, doing our own thing. My mom was pursuing her own thing, and she was young, so we kind of moved around a lot. So having that structure in our family for me is very, very important. Having stability is very, very, very important. However, it's new to me, so I have to be intentional, and I have to be disciplined, and I have to be dedicated to it.
Yeah,
like,
dedication's key.
Staying at home and homeschooling the kids, like, that's hard for me. Okay,
You're making it look easy.
I be struggling.
You're making it look easy out here.
I be struggling, but like I know that I have to have the discipline because that's what we want. Early on in our marriage, we define, like, it wasn't that early on, but
Right, but
back in the day, a little bit.
we knew what we
knew, like, we wanted to put our kids in a situation where we could be hands-on with them and where we could help them learn, and we
Teach
can
them stuff
influence
that-
what they're learning and,
Yep.
expose them when they're ready to the things that we were ready to expose them to. So I know that I have to have that discipline even when it gets tough. And that's the same thing we're saying to you guys in defining your marriage is being intentional and having that discipline because it can get tough.
Yeah.
It can get tough.
But long as you, like I said, once you guys understand each other and what goals you guys have in your marriage and what you guys want out of your marriage and what you want to look like, it's going to be that much easier for you to maintain it throughout the years and years and years to build your family legacy. So, did you want to go ahead and... We got some questions we want to ask you guys, and this to kind of give you guys something to think about after this live is over. These are some of the questions that we asked ourselves at one point in our marriage that's kind of helped us, grow into the couple and the relationship we have now. So
Yeah, so they're more of like reflection questions, and we'll make sure to post them in the comments or pin them in the live so that you guys can see them. But the first question is, what do we want our marriage to look like? Defining your marriage. What do we want our marriage to look like? What do we want it to look like in 5 years, in 10 years? Do we want to have kids? Do we want to move out of the state? Do we want to be stable, or do we want to travel a lot? Those type of things. The next question is, what do we want out of our marriage? Do we want kids out of our marriage? Again, some people don't want kids. Do we want
support?
Yeah, do we want support? Do we want, like James, initially, I wanted to have my career. I loved what I did.
You did a good job.
Yeah, I loved what I did
what we had to do though.
When we first got married.
Yeah.
I love what I did. However, that's not what our purpose was. That's not who we were supposed to be. We weren't supposed to be he work, I work equally, we both running the show.
And our kids just go to school. Like
that didn't work for us.
That's not what we wanted for our family foundation. So
right. So again, that second question was, what do we want out of our marriage? Do we want kids? Do you want your wife to be the support? Do you want to stay at home? Do you want to lead the marriage? Do you want to be the head of household? Do you want longevity in your marriage? Do you want someone who you can share your life with? Do you want to leave a legacy? Those kind of things. What role do I want to play in my marriage? So again, do we want to both have mutualism and bringing home or taking care of the household financially, or am I cool with sitting back and letting you do that?
All right.
The last question is, what's important in my marriage? Is having kids important in your marriage? Is having a legacy important in your marriage?
Time. And, I like money, so
Yeah.
that could be one.
So, like, what's important to me is being hands-on with my kids and having that time with the kids, and James being able to be in their lives and having time with the kids. His goal is money. He's very money driven. So
I just like to have, I just want to be wealthy where our kids, like, if we want to buy something, we're not going to be, scraping the barrel. I make sure I save, and I don't even want to get into all that, but money's important, especially with everything going on right now. But just making sure, you're staying that course, and money may not be important for your marriage.
Yeah.
It's not really that important for us, but I do like money, which is why I chose to be the provider, and I chose her to stay home with the kids. So.
Right. And it works for us. And that's what we want you to understand is, like, this is just a practical tool that everybody can use to define your marriage. What works for you? What does it look like for you? What do you want out of your marriage?
And I would say, too, one thing I would give you guys some advice. Don't compare your marriage to, like, other people's relationship or marriage. That's something that you definitely don't want to get in, because some people's marriage may look awesome, but you never know, like, the in and outs of it, or what they're going through, or if they're fronting. So that's one thing we make sure we never do. Like, when we see other couples, we don't try to compare ourselves to other couples. We try to stay the course, keep our foundation of what we want to do, and we keep our goals, like, in line in the top of our priorities. So
yeah,
I just thought I'd throw that in there, because a lot of times I know I have friends that try to compare themselves to. We've all done it. Like, yeah. I've done it. Like, we've done it. Like, that would be one thing I would say. Just when you're defining your marriage, don't try to compare yourself to how other couples look. Be your own. Answer those questions and, like, really dig in on what you guys want out of your marriage and what your future looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to go and recap everything?
Yeah. So we talking about define your marriage. Define your marriage. What does your marriage look like for you? What is that? It's, again, putting a face to your marriage, giving your marriage meaning and purpose. Why is that important? Because it gives you direction. It gives you something to work towards. It gives you purpose. It gives you clarity. It gives you meaning. How? Future-oriented mindset. Setting those boundaries and expectations inside and outside of your marriage.
It's important.
And then having some intention and some discipline and some dedication, some backbone. That's going to get you where you need to go. And again, I'll make sure that I pin those questions on the live. Once I figure out how to do it, I'll pin it on there so that you guys can reference those again.
Again, we want to thank you guys for joining our Let's Talk Tuesday. It's truly a blessing to be able to share our experience with you guys.
Yeah.
And to be doing this. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Where our topic will be coming soon to you guys. Not going to tell you right now, but we're going to dig in and it'll start getting deeper. Always comment if you guys got some topics that you guys want to share. We're always open to hearing what you guys have out there, because we may not know, or we may have went through it as well. But remember, it's always live a life to build a family. That's going to create that legacy. I'm out.